I'd like to make a confession.
All right, if it will make you feel better.
I think I just need an overall apology to the universe.
I see. Apology noted.
Thanks, Father.
Adventure Gabriel.
He's solving riddles great and small.
Adventure Gabriel.
Adventure games, he loves them all. Every day is a new quest, exploring north, south, east, to west. Point and click to find the answers that we seek. Adventure Geek.
Hello there, fellow adventurers. Today we're going to be asking the question,
What can you tell me about voodoo?
so let's ask some adventurous folks what they can tell us about voodoo.
You was asking me about voodoo, eh? Well, I'll tell you something. You came to the right person. I know everything there is to know about voodoo.
What can I tell you about the dark art of voodoo? It's just that.
You're gonna need three things if you want to get into voodoo. You gotta have brains. You need brains because you gotta stay hidden. All that traipsing around the swamps, all painted up in the face, dancing around, hooping and hollering. You need brains.
Voodoo. I used to have a Voodoo quiz card. Voodoo 3 from 3DFX. Does that count?
Second of all, gonna need some heart and soul. All I have is a heart. Gonna have to bring your own soul.
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
In the words of Wikipedia, Gabriel Knight Sins of the Fathers is a 1993 point-and-click adventure game, written, designed, and directed by Jane Jensen, and published by Sierra Online. Jane Jensen had been working at Sierra before this on games such as EcoQuest, The Search for Cetus, and Pepper's Adventures in Time. She also had a major role alongside Roberta Williams on King's Quest VI. Gabriel Knight, however, doesn't take place in a fantasy land full of magic, mythical creatures, and talking tomatoes.
How did you manage to fall off the vine, Mr. Tomato?
What do you think? I'm old, I'm rotten. Yeah, leave me alone.
This is apparent right from the introduction, where we witness a series of nightmarish visions. Turns out this was all just a dream, however. Or was it? Our hero, or should I say anti-hero, emerges from his man cave in St. George's bookstore. Gabriel is the owner as well as a writer, except that the books aren't exactly flying off the shelves, including his own. His faithful, long-suffering assistant is Grace Nakamura.
How would I ever manage without you?
You? Give me a break. The devil himself couldn't change you.
Well, if the devil had great legs, perhaps, like yours.
If that voice sounds familiar, it's because it's none other than Tim Curry, who also voices Count Nefarious in Toonstruck.
I need time to recharge the machine for my next strike.
Yes, my liege.
Gabriel actually has a bit of the nefarious in him as well.
If you try to look down my shirt one more time, I'm leaving.
This is a far cry from Prince Alexander, the stereotypical hero of King's Quest VI.
Hello, Nightingale. What a lovely tune you sing.
I wish I had something better to rub than this stupid stump.
I don't think we're in Daventry anymore. Well, we're actually in the city of New Orleans, as we can see from this map. Before venturing outside, however, we should drink some coffee and read the local newspaper.
The front page has an article about the voodoo murders.
I wonder what our daily horoscope has in store for us.
Potential storms ahead.
Right.
Ah, that sound is sweet music to my ears. That's right, it's what I call the Jolly Good Show Old Chap jingle that lets us know when we did something right.
I might need a flashlight.
If your life was an adventure game, you'd hear this whenever you perform everyday tasks, like flushing the toilet, taking out the trash, or checking the mailbox. Up at the top of the screen, we have our good old point-and-click commands such as look, pick up, use, and open, which are fun to try out on Gabriel himself.
If I want to open up, I'll go to a shrink. You've already got me, you lucky devil.
Okay, I think we're ready to hop on our motorcycle and cruise the streets of New Orleans. The central hub of the city is Jackson Square next to St. Louis Cathedral. From this vantage point, we can spy on people in the square. Now watch as Gabriel uses his powers of teleportation.
Why, you nasty thing, you! I'll call the police, I will!
Let's take the law into our own hands and teach that mime to keep his miming hands to himself. Apart from the creepy mime, the square is bustling with activity. There's a band playing when the saints go marching in. Madame Lorelei, the fortune teller,
Come on, boys! Hoopla!
and a guy selling beignets.
What the heck are beignets anyway? Deep fried sweet dough with powdered sugar on top. New Orleans donuts, sir.
I'll have to try some if I ever go visit New Orleans. In the meantime, here's some I made earlier. Gabriel gets drawn into investigating the voodoo murders and goes to see his police detective pal Mosley.
So, how's it hanging, bud?
Lousy. I hate crime scenes. People are sick fucks. You know that, Knight?
Wow, he dropped the F-bomb in an adventure game. This is obviously meant for a more mature audience than Pepper's Adventures in Time. Gabriel is something of a ladies' man.
I'm not any kind of woman you might be familiar with.
Yes, I can see that.
And from the sound of things, he's also into some kinky stuff.
Hold still.
Maybe you'd like to tie me up?
Ah, just like in Phantasmagoria 2. During his exploits, Gabriel crosses paths with the enigmatic Malia Getty. This scene plays out like a comic book, and in fact the original big box release came with a graphic novel, which I sadly don't have in my collection, but it's included in digital form with the 20th anniversary release. This remastered version, which features updated graphics and sound, was produced by Jane Jensen's own Pinkerton Road Studios. For this review though, we're sticking with the original in all its raw pixelated glory. Another key location to visit is St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. Why is it called No. 1, you ask? Well, because it's the best cemetery in the whole of the state of Louisiana. It even has zombies according to this guy.
Kind of a quiet job you've got, isn't it?
Most of the time, yeah. Yeah, they act up some at the full moon, though.
One of the tombs is the resting place of Marie Laveau, who was actually a real person who practiced voodoo. She even knew more about it than the Space Quest historian.
Second of all, or third, for those of you playing the counting game at home, you're gonna need chickens. Plenty of chickens. Can't have a good voodoo ritual without chickens. Chickens are surprisingly hard to come by. You ever tried breaking into a farm?
If we didn't already know enough about voodoo, we can visit the university and attend a lecture on the subject. If we can stay awake long enough, that is.
Let's discuss the elements of voodoo.
Fascinating guy.
Let's see what's on the bulletin board.
There's a notice for a lecture on investigative reporting techniques to be given by octogenarian Pulitzer Prize winner Laura Bow Dorian.
This is an inside reference to the Laura Bow Mysteries, the Colonel's Bequest, and the Dagger of Ammon-Ra.
Laura Baines, right?
Laura Bow, sir. and I believe you have the advantage.
As the story unfolds, Gabriel finds out more about his past and his family, especially his uncle Wolfgang, a shadowy figure who holds the secret to Gabriel's true identity.
What can you tell me about Schattenjägers?
Yes, of course. I sometimes forget how little you know of the family, Gabriel.
What's a Schattenjäger, you ask? Well, we'll find out much more about that in Gabriel Knight 2, The Beast Within. For now, suffice it to say, it means Shadow Hunter.
Shadow Hunter?
Yes. Shadow Hunter.
Shadow Hunter?
Shadow Hunter. The game takes place over 10 days, and each day starts in pretty much the same way. The paperboy delivers the newspaper. Grace arrives to pick up the paper and open the bookstore. Gabriel wakes up, he drinks some coffee.
Good coffee.
And reads the newspaper.
Today you will either die or your life will change forever.
His nightmares, however, keep recurring every night and get more and more fucked up. Hey, this is Gabriel Knight. I'm allowed to swear. Part of what makes this game so compelling is how the story progresses from day to day as we explore deeper into the voodoo murders. Drummers keep showing up all over the city, beating out their incessant primal rhythms. Despite all these ominous events and the feeling of death closing in around us, the game is surprisingly lighthearted.
Lucy, I'm home.
Oh, joy.
The game is more story than puzzle driven, and there's even a novel adaptation written by Jane Jensen herself. Can you tell me about voodoo? Gabriel asked, changing the subject. Dr. John smiled indulgently. That is a broad question, Mr. Knight. Are you interested in the history or the modern practice? Why do I hear Worf from Star Trek while reading this?
I am Worf, son of Morg.
Well, Dr. John is in fact voiced by Michael Dorn, who knows many things about the starship Voodoo.
Many people think of voodoo in terms of magic spells or gree-gree. That kind of practice is actually called hoodoo, and is only a part of true voodoo.
Some of the major puzzles involve deciphering a voodoo code and piecing together parts of what's called a veve. One puzzle I found most amusing has Gabriel dressing up as a priest.
Alright, but this is private.
Ah, there's that sound again. Jolly good show, old chap. Our efforts are then rewarded when we get to hear Tim Curry impersonating an Irish priest.
Do you have any idea what Cabri Sankar means?
Mais oui, I know. I bet you do not, Farah, n'est-ce pas?
It means, don't eat the chili.
Cabri Sankar! Cabri Sankar! Hang on a sec, isn't this a Sierra game? Why haven't we died 1,000 deaths by now?
I really don't want to be dead. Can we try that again?
So, it is possible to die in this game, though the death count isn't as great as King's Quest VI, for example. I don't want to spoil too much of the later stages of the game, but we get to leave New Orleans and take a trip to our ancestral home, Schloss Ritter Castle in Rittersburg, Germany, where potatoes make a funny sound when you peel them. As you can see from my final score, I missed a point somewhere. Maybe I forgot to check the mail one time. Gabriel Knight is honestly not one of my personal favorites, although I can appreciate it more now that I'm older. I think all this voodoo malarkey was just too much for my fragile little mind to comprehend, especially since I was so used to playing King's Quest.
Wow. Hiya, gorgeous. Oh, what a luscious-looking hunk of flesh you are.
Ooh, baby, I love the way you move.
I'm gonna give this 8 beignets out of 10. And now let's ask the Space Quest historian if there's anything else he'd like to tell us about voodoo.
Don't be an idiot. Practice voodoo with care and attention to the brains, heart, and the chickens. Goddamn, watch them chickens. What were we talking about again?
I'll have to try some if I ever go visit New Orleans. In the meantime, here's some I made earlier. This is not a beignet.